Thanks so much for being here with me today. My name's Austin LaRoche, and here at ATAK, we're just starting a little marketing in the time of COVID-19 series. And with me today, I've got Cindy Flynn from Hackler Flynn Law. How you doing today, Cindy?
I am great. Thanks, Austin. Thanks for having me.
Cindy, I wanted Cindy to come on because Cindy is doing so many webinars. I think I'm going to have to start nicknaming her the Screen Queen.
I like it. I'll take it.
How many webinars are you doing a week right now?
Probably on average 6.
6 webinars a week. So yes. Cindy is a employment attorney, and she represents entrepreneurs and companies in employment battles. And so the webinars have, I assume, mostly focused on the new CARES Act.
Yes, and COVID-19 and employment law and how to deal with it as a business owner.
What are some of the common questions that you're seeing from customers?
Oh man, the biggest thing that I think is blowing people's minds right now is providing an expense reimbursement for your employees who are working from home for internet and cell phones. And
wow.
So many businesses are not doing that, but I think it's going to be a big area in which plaintiffs' attorneys out there are going to find a way to file class action lawsuits against business owners.
I just been so impressed of how you've been able to just take hold of the situation, because so many different companies and different industries, they're being disrupted, and they need somebody within their industry to be some sort of voice of reason and in that thought leader. And so it's cool to hear, like, your big point of view with everything is that you see this area being somewhere where employment law is about to be shaken up. So before all of this started, though, how many webinars were you doing just regularly, or maybe ever?
I think I did 4 last year in total.
I've always thought that webinars are kind of like QR codes, like they're perfect in theory, right?
Yeah.
And then
and
then it's like, until we were all forced to work from home, like we all still wanted that, like, handshake, face to face, and now it's like, well, webinars make complete sense, and it's the best way for daily continued education.
Yes, and Austin, our firm hired ATAK, your amazing company, last year. And one of the things on our to-do list that we talked about was getting out and putting together webinars for our clients, our prospects, our friends, our community. And it was kind of, number 101 on my to-do list. When we were forced to all go Zoom, it's so easy to put together a webinar and to host a webinar. And that whole idea actually came from you guys. So, I'm forever grateful for that. And then COVID-19 just made it like me put it into action, right? And have a full audience. And, just as an employment lawyer, we are trying to pump out as many free webinars to our community as possible, because I really feel strongly that businesses are going to be sued this year. We've had 4 clients now in the last 2 weeks come to us with demand letters from employees that they've gotten rid of, that they've terminated since COVID-19. So I feel so strongly that I'm like, please talk to your employment lawyer or call me if you don't have one, because it's just an area in which, some businesses are going to get into trouble. But
it's something that everyone's concerned with, and and anytime there's transition, everybody wants to be able to do things the right way, right? Mm-hmm. And so being able to consult somebody like yourself is an area where I feel like businesses be at a great advantage now, even before they have to make a lot of the tough decisions, and also learn a lot of things.
And I think it's a good opportunity to work with companies like yours. I mean, I think I'm keeping you guys plenty busy right now with all because every time I put together, the content, I send it over to your team for that, like, design, image, consistency, because we want to make sure with all our marketing efforts that it's consistent throughout, right? And so your team does such an excellent job on putting together and the final touches on all of the content that, my team puts together, and then making it not so much legalese, but common language that, people can understand. So So that's another thing though. I think that now is a good time to also focus on marketing efforts and consistency throughout your organization.
Yeah, it's funny. I keep telling everybody there's like two paths you're going to take during this time. And sometimes those are blended, right? One is invest in infrastructure of the marketing. You always wanted that new website. You wanted to install a new CRM. Like now that things have slowed down to an extent, like there's that time to really invest in that infrastructure, or invest in the thought leadership, which is what you're doing, and you're telling your market how to get out in front of COVID-19 and how to navigate this mess. And I think that both those things can be really good investments. But I want to go back to what you were talking about with the webinars, because now that you've done them so often, 6 a week, what are some what would you say some do's and don'ts would be for someone who wants to host a webinar?
I think the more prepared you can be, like in any speech, the better. The more you can anticipate the questions that people are going to ask you, the better. And it gives you a chance to really be prepared and do your due diligence, because I mean, what else are you doing right now, right? Preparing for webinars. Some of the things that I think, you want to avoid when doing a webinar, or any presentation for that matter, is reading directly off the screen, right? Like it makes you sound like a robot. But I think that's with any sort of speech that you give. You want to use PowerPoint to your advantage. And something that your team does great is, I can put together a slide with like all this information, and then they take it all away and put like a picture or, a graphic or something to where it's so much easier to understand. So, but I think that just goes with not only webinars, but with any sort of presentation you're giving.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anytime you can avoid having everyone reading your screen instead of listening to what you're saying, you've got to take it. What about anything like technical? I know you've been using yours. You use Zoom for your webinars?
I do, and it's great. It's not the normal Zoom package. They have something additional where you can have up to 100 people in a webinar. They also have like 500. I've been on 2,000 person webinars, and there are different structures there. But what's nice about that is it allows you to just see the speakers and your PowerPoint presentation or whatever you want to do as far as sharing your screen. You don't have to see all 100 people or all 2,000 people, in a single, I guess, gallery view.
Room? Yeah, it is a Zoom room, yeah. Zoom banquet hall.
Right.
So you said you've been doing the 100-person webinars for yours for the most part, right?
I mean, if I do one with the Bar Association or something like that, it's obviously a lot bigger. Or Provisors, another networking organization, their limit is 1,000. With regard to the limits, I like to keep it to 100 people, because with our webinars that we've been doing, it's very interactive, so people can ask questions throughout. And what they have on their under Zoom, under webinars, is a QA section so that people can type in questions, and then you can respond to the questions. And then sometimes when it gets to 100 people or so in a webinar, I have one of my associates on the line as well. So she's able to answer specific people's questions that it's not necessary to bring to the whole group. I found that to be really helpful, because I've done webinars with a lot of people, and to navigate questions and keep it flowing throughout can be challenging at times.
Limit it to 100 and have the question moderator to be able to help delineate. Okay.
And I also have her chime in as well too throughout, so that it's not my voice. I mean, with most webinars, sometimes it is my voice just talking for an hour, but it's nice to break it up a little bit too.
And so on the question and answers, do you have like a time at the end for questions, or is it, if anybody has a question throughout, what's best practice there, and how do you balance that?
I like to do it throughout. That way, if I'm talking about something in the beginning, my mind can stay on that subject matter, and then I can answer the questions as they roll in while we're on the slide, and it's particular and pertaining to to that area that we're talking about rather than waiting till the end. But that's just my style. You know, I think you have to go with what works best for you. But I have been asked questions at the very end, and then I try and go back to like slide 10, and you're like scrolling through to the relevant information so that everybody kind of knows what you're talking about. So that's been my tactic.
Keeps it engaging too, because
Right.
people feel more involved. Well, that's great. Well, I think after hearing a little bit of things I didn't know as a business owner, I'm going to need to pop into one of the next free webinars. You can go to your website.
It's hacklerflynnlaw.com, and then I have an events section that your team put together that is amazing. And you can either look for our upcoming events, which, I mean, we have some scheduled out to next February already on the website. And then you can also scroll back and look at past events and see the recordings from any of those.
For free.
Yeah.
So there's zero reason why a business owner should not go to hacklerflynnlaw.com/events and get caught up on what they need to know now that we're in the age of COVID as employers.
That's right.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this. And I am excited for all the people who will continue to learn from you and hopefully protect themselves because of you. Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks so much, Austin.
All right. Take care.